The violinist struck a sour note. It was subtle, almost unnoticeable to the laughing guests sipping their cocktails beneath the chandeliers of the Saint Laurent Hotel's grand ballroom. But for Nathan Cole, tech magnate, Forbes darling, and groom-to-be, the sound was jarring. It cut through the warm haze of clinking glasses and murmured congratulations like a crack in porcelain. He turned his head slowly, scanning the room. Everything appeared perfect. Too perfect. His bride, Celeste Whitmore, New York's socialite sweetheart, was radiant in her custom Dior gown. Her laugh carried easily across the room, precise and elegant, like everything else about her. Her hand rested possessively on his arm as she whispered something to a friend, casting a quick glance at him and smiling. But Nathan's attention had shifted. His chest tightened, his breath caught. At the far end of the ballroom, where the white marble faded into the shadows of the service hallway, a woman in a black catering uniform emerged. She carried a tray of empty champagne flutes, her head slightly bowed, her posture rigid but graceful. The tray wobbled slightly as she moved, and in that instant she looked up, just once. And Nathan's world cracked open. The air left his lungs like a punch to the gut. It was her, Ava. Her name slammed into his thoughts like a memory he had worked years to forget. Her hair, once wild and sun-kissed, was now pulled back in a tight bun. Her face, still achingly beautiful, held none of the warmth he remembered. It was pale, tired, strained, and then he saw it, the gentle swell beneath her apron, subtle but unmistakable, pregnant. The crystal flute Nathan held slipped from his hand. It shattered at his feet. Conversations ceased. Heads turned. Celeste gasped. "Nathan?" she said, placing a hand on his chest. "What's wrong?" He didn't answer. He couldn't. He just stood there, frozen, his eyes locked on the woman across the ballroom who had once been his entire world, and now carried a secret that threatened to dismantle everything. Ava turned away sharply and vanished into the staff doors behind the bar. "Nathan," Celeste's voice was sharper now. "You look like you've seen a ghost." He had. The music started again, a little louder this time, drowning the sudden hush. Laughter resumed, awkward and unsure. The ballroom swallowed the moment whole. But Nathan's thoughts raced. Ava, pregnant, working here. It had been 8 months since he'd last seen her. Their divorce was final, bitter, and public. He'd buried it all under the towering success of his IPO and the perfect relationship with Celeste, polished, performative, pristine. But that night 8 months ago, his mind clawed back to it. A last conversation turned tear-stained argument. And then a kiss, and then, no, it wasn't possible. Was it? He looked down at the broken glass at his feet. Celeste called for a waiter. Someone laughed nervously nearby, but Nathan was no longer present. His mind was behind that swinging staff door, chasing the past. "I need some air," he muttered, already moving. The service hallway was colder, unadorned, quiet. Nathan's polished shoes clicked on linoleum floors. He passed racks of extra linens, flower buckets, and a metal cart of leftover hors d'oeuvres. Then he heard it, a soft exhale, a whisper of breath. The staff break room door was ajar. He paused at the threshold. Ava sat alone on a plastic chair, facing a vending machine. Her apron was folded neatly on the table beside her. Her hand rested on her belly, absently, protectively. Nathan knocked softly on the doorframe. "Ava?" She didn't jump. She didn't turn. She just closed her eyes, shoulders lifting slightly with the weight of his voice. "You shouldn't be here," she said after a moment, her voice quieter, wearier than he remembered. "Go back to your wedding." He stepped inside. "I had to see you." She stood abruptly and faced him. Her eyes were darker now, lined with fatigue and something colder. "Why? So you can confirm it's real?" Nathan stared at her stomach. "Is it—" Her expression turned to stone. Just answer me. Please." Ava crossed her arms. "Yes, Nathan. I'm pregnant. And no, it's not yours if that's what you're hoping. His heart thudded in his chest. I'm not hoping that, she laughed, short and bitter. Could have fooled me. That night, 8 months ago, you made it very clear you were done, that we were done. I didn't know, he began, but faltered. I never meant to. Stop, she snapped. You don't get to come in here and pretend to care after ignoring my calls, after replacing me with that. She stopped herself. You made your choice. Silence settled between them. I didn't know how to reach you, he said finally. After the divorce, after everything, you disappeared. I needed to. Her hand returned to her belly. It wasn't safe for me to stay in that world. Our world. It broke me. He looked around the dingy room, the water-stained ceiling tiles, the flickering fluorescent light. You shouldn't be working like this. Especially now. Let me help. She stepped back like he'd raised a weapon. No, don't throw money at this. You don't get to fix it like that. I'm not trying to fix it, he said. You don't want this life touching your perfect one, she said, a bitter edge in her voice. The Whitmore family wouldn't appreciate your scandalous ex-wife carrying a baby that might ruin their wedding hashtags. He flinched, because it was true. His life had become a show, a brand, a lie. I didn't know, he said again, his voice nearly a whisper. And now you do, she said. So what? Are you going to run back to your champagne and string quartets? Or do you actually want to talk like human beings? He stepped closer. Ava, please. Is it mine? She didn't answer at first. Her silence was heavy. Then she exhaled. Yes, she said quietly. It's yours. The words landed like thunder in his chest. A child. His child. She looked at him, and for the first time since the moment he'd seen her, he caught a glimpse of the Ava he'd loved. Still guarded, but honest. Still strong. I didn't tell you, she said, because I didn't want to trap you. I didn't want pity or lawyers or tabloids. I just wanted peace. Nathan sat down, his legs suddenly weak. He rubbed his face with both hands. I'm sorry, he said. I was selfish. I thought moving on meant leaving everything behind. Ava didn't speak. He looked up at her, his voice raw. I want to do the right thing. I don't know what that looks like, but I know I want to be part of this. Of you. Of the baby. She looked at him a long time. You want a second chance now that it costs you something? I want one because I missed everything that ever mattered to me, he said. Outside the door, laughter erupted from the ballroom. Celeste's laughter. Ava sighed, reaching for her apron. You better get back before someone realizes the groom is missing. He stood. Can we talk again? Soon? Her eyes flicked to his. Maybe. She brushed past him gently, opened the door, and disappeared down the corridor. The scent of roses and champagne drifted back in. Nathan stood alone in the break room, his wedding collapsing in his chest like a house of cards. Nathan returned to the ballroom like a man stepping into someone else's life. The chandeliers above shimmered like nothing had happened. The string quartet was mid-performance again, and the photographers swarmed like honeybees around Celeste and her entourage. No one seemed to notice the groom's absence. Not yet. Celeste spotted him and broke from the group. Her smile faltered as she took in the tension in his face. Where have you been? Everyone's asking for you. He forced a smile. Just needed a minute. Long day. Her fingers brushed against his cheek. Well, pull it together. We're about to cut the cake. He nodded, barely registering her words. His eyes drifted once more toward the staff hallway. But Ava was gone, erased, like she'd never been there. The next morning, they boarded the private jet to Santorini. Celeste was radiant, giddy with post-wedding attention. She wore oversized sunglasses and a matching white jumpsuit as she scrolled through Instagram photos from the ceremony. People are obsessed. We're trending in 3 countries, she said, laughing. Nathan stared out the window at the clouds, his thoughts 1,000 miles away. His mind kept replaying the moment Ava said it aloud. Yes, it's yours. He was going to be a father. He had a child on the way, and he was married to the wrong woman. Celeste turned to him, her tone teasing. You're brooding. You always brood before a big launch. Are you already thinking about the shareholder meeting? He looked at her, trying to remember the version of himself who had fallen for her. But that version was blurry now, a man addicted to image. She was the perfect accessory to that life. Refined, pedigreed, camera-ready. Just tired, he said. Their resort in Santorini was nothing short of a dream. Infinity pools stretched toward the Aegean Sea. Their suite boasted private butlers, a champagne wall, and a bed dressed in imported linen. Celeste threw herself into the honeymoon, boat tours, spa treatments, gourmet meals. She snapped selfies at every turn, tagged luxury brands, and scheduled interviews with bridal magazines from their sunbed. Nathan couldn't breathe. Each kiss felt rehearsed. Each laugh echoed hollow. He checked his phone obsessively, not for emails or stock alerts, but for any sign of Ava. He didn't even have her number. He didn't know if she'd let him talk to her again. But he had to try. On the third night, he stepped out onto the terrace and finally opened his laptop. He typed Ava Sloan Catering Los Angeles and hit enter. Nothing. Then he remembered something. Her old Gmail. She used it for her art commissions. He typed an email. Subject, I need to talk to you. From Nathan Cole. To avaslone.art@gmail.com. Ava, please. Let's talk. I'm not asking for anything, just your time. I need to understand. And he hit send and stared at the screen for a long time. Behind him, Celeste called, Babe, come inside. They're bringing the soufflés. He didn't answer. The email remained unanswered the next day. And the next. By the 5th day of their honeymoon, Celeste noticed his distance could no longer be ignored. They were having dinner on a cliffside patio, the sunset blazing behind them, when she finally said it. You're not here, she said, setting down her wine glass. You've been somewhere else since the wedding. Nathan looked up. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make you feel... Spare me the apology. Her voice was tight. Just tell me the truth. He hesitated. Celeste's eyes narrowed. Is there another woman? His silence was answer enough. She leaned back in her chair, arms crossed. I knew it. I could feel it the second you disappeared at the reception. It's not what you think. Then tell me what it is. He hesitated. My ex-wife was at the wedding. Ava? Her face twisted in disbelief. Are you kidding? She was working. As catering staff. Celeste let out a sharp, incredulous laugh. What the hell was she doing there? Nathan stared at the ocean. She's pregnant. That silenced her. Yours? She asked after a long pause. Yes. Celeste stared at him like he'd just confessed to a murder. You got your ex-wife pregnant and didn't think to tell me before our wedding? I didn't know. When did you last see her? About 8 months ago. Celeste shot to her feet. 8 months ago? You said you hadn't spoken in almost a year. It was a mistake. One night, we were both hurting. Oh, save it, she spat. I'm not here for your sob story. Nathan rose too, trying to calm her. Celeste, I didn't plan this. No, you just ruined everything. My family, the investors, the image we built. You've set your career on fire. I don't care about image anymore, he said, with a surprising calmness. I care about my child. She stared at him, stunned. Then she scoffed. You're going to throw away everything for a baby with a woman you left behind? I didn't leave her behind, he said quietly. I lost her. Celeste's silence stretched. Then, without a word, she turned and walked away. Nathan returned to Los Angeles early. Alone. Celeste stayed behind, refusing to face the media storm that was beginning to bubble. Her PR team issued a brief statement about a private matter and requested respect during this transitional time. Nathan didn't care. He had made his decision. The moment his plane touched down, he contacted a friend, someone from his old life who still had access to low-profile investigators. He gave them Ava's name and waited. That evening, the report arrived in his inbox. Her address, her job history, a photo of her outside a community health clinic. He felt sick. She had been navigating this alone while he basked in luxury. That night, he drove to her apartment, a rundown building in North Hollywood. The walls were cracked. The mailbox was broken. It was far from safe, far from suitable for a pregnant woman. His heart raced as he knocked on the door of Unit 2A. There was no answer at first. Then, slowly, it opened. Ava stood in the doorway in a loose gray sweater, her eyes wary. "How did you find me? I needed to see you." She didn't move to invite him in. "I came back alone," he said. "I left the honeymoon. Left Celeste." Ava's expression didn't change. "Why?" "Because I can't do this. I can't pretend anymore. I'm going to be a father. I want to do right by you, by the baby." She crossed her arms. "You think that changes anything? You think showing up now makes you noble?" "No," he admitted. "It makes me late, and I hate that. But I'm here now." A long pause. Then she stepped aside. He entered the apartment. It was sparse. Secondhand furniture, half unpacked boxes, and a small bassinet still in its packaging on the floor. He noticed the dark circles under her eyes, the way she kept rubbing her lower back. "You shouldn't be working in your condition," he said. She didn't respond. "I want to help. I don't want your money." "I know," he said. "I'm not offering a check. I'm offering me, whatever that means. I want to be there for you, for the baby, appointments, rent, food, the hard stuff, all of it." She looked at him, eyes softening. "You really think you're ready to be a dad?" "No," he said, honest to the bone. "But I want to try." Silence again. Then she whispered, "I have an appointment on Friday. Ultrasound." He nodded. "Can I come?" Ava hesitated. Then just a small nod. The clinic was tucked between a laundromat and a payday loan store in East Hollywood. Faded posters lined the entryway walls, advocating for prenatal vitamins and Medicaid access. The fluorescent lights buzzed, and the cracked plastic chairs in the waiting room groaned under their occupants. Nathan felt like an alien. He wore a simple navy pullover and jeans deliberately unbranded, but he still stood out. His posture, his clean-shaven face, his expensive watch, even stripped down, he reeked of privilege in a place built for survival. Ava sat beside him in silence, one hand gently cradling her stomach, the other flipping through a worn parenting magazine. She hadn't spoken much since he arrived to pick her up, but she let him come. That was something. "Miss Sloane?" A nurse called. Ava stood. Nathan followed. The exam room was cramped but clean. The nurse offered a kind smile as Ava reclined on the paper-covered table and lifted her shirt. Her belly was round now, unmistakable. The technician applied the cold gel and pressed the probe gently to her skin. Nathan held his breath. Then, sound. Womp, 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 womp. A heartbeat, a fast, fierce rhythm that filled the tiny room like thunder. The monitor flickered to life. A grainy black and white image emerged. A tiny profile, a curve of spine, a flutter of movement. "There's your baby," the tech said warmly. "Looks healthy, good growth for 29 weeks. Nathan's knees nearly buckled. That's our baby?" Ava looked sideways at him. Her eyes weren't filled with anger now. Just exhaustion and awe. She nodded. "Yes." He reached for her hand. To his surprise, she didn't pull away. The story broke the next morning. It started with a blurry photo. Nathan stepping out of a community clinic beside Ava, her baby bump visible beneath her coat. Then came the headline. "Tech Titan's secret scandal, Nathan Cole's pregnant ex spotted in Lake Clinic." Within hours, the media swarmed. Paparazzi staked out Ava's apartment. A drone buzzed her window. Reporters shouted questions through the mail slot. Her phone exploded with voicemails, journalists, distant relatives, even tabloids offering money for interviews. Nathan tried to contain it. He deployed his PR team, sent cease and desist letters, hired discreet security. None of it worked. Worse, his company's board demanded an emergency meeting. He stood in a glass conference room overlooking downtown LA, facing 7 board members and a furious interim chair. "We have a crisis," said Ronald Keene, a sharp-suited man who once championed Nathan's IPO. "You have a child on the way with your ex-wife," Keene continued, "and you're married to a woman whose family is already threatening to sue for reputational damages." "I've already filed for annulment," Nathan said. "The marriage is over. That's not the point. The media has framed this as deceit. Investors don't like mess. Nexus stock has dropped 14 points. Nathan exhaled. "I'll step down if that's what it takes. I won't hide my child." A stunned silence filled the room. "You're willing to give up your own company?" someone asked. "I'd rather lose everything than lie one more day," he said. That afternoon, Nathan drove to Ava's place. She stood outside her apartment, holding a crumpled piece of paper. Her eyes were red. Her shoulders were trembling. "What is it?" he asked, stepping from his car. She handed him the notice. "Eviction. I missed rent. The media storm scared off my catering job. They replaced me," she said, her voice cracking. Nathan didn't hesitate. "Come with me." She looked at him, guarded. "Where?" "I'm not taking you to the mansion," he said quickly. "I sold it." That surprised her. "I have a furnished apartment near Griffith Park. Safe, quiet, no press. Just until you're back on your feet. I don't want to be a charity case." "You're not," he said. "Your family," that word hung in the air. Ava looked at him a long moment. Then she nodded. Nathan's new apartment was modest by his standards. 2 bedrooms, clean lines, a view of the city skyline. No staff, no luxury cars, just him. And now Ava. She claimed the second room. He helped her carry in boxes. A few of her old paintings leaned against the wall. Her laptop, an old, sluggish device, refused to power on. "What happened to your design work?" he asked gently. She shrugged. "Freelance dried up after my software crashed. Couldn't afford the monthly license." The next day, Nathan didn't buy her a new laptop. Instead, he spent the evening helping her apply for an artist grant through a nonprofit he once funded but had forgotten about. They sat at his dining table for hours, Ava typing slowly, Nathan reading the fine print aloud. "You always did love reading the boring parts," she teased. He smiled. "And you always ignored them." "Balance," she said softly. They laughed. For the first time in years, it wasn't painful. 2 weeks later, she got the grant. Ava cried when she opened the email. "I didn't think I'd ever get a win again." "You earned it," Nathan said. She started freelancing again, small logos at first, then a full website for a local bakery. Her confidence grew, so did her belly. Nathan drove her to appointments, sat through classes, assembled furniture, cooked badly. They began to fall into a rhythm. Late-night tea in the kitchen, music in the background, evenings spent watching baby tutorials. One night, after putting together a crib backward, he collapsed on the couch. Ava joined him, her hand resting on her belly. "She kicks more when you're around." "She?" Ava smiled. "Yeah, it's a girl." Nathan's heart clenched. "A girl," he repeated. "God help her if she inherits my ears." Ava laughed, her head falling onto his shoulder. And they stayed like that, in silence, as the baby kicked between them like a drum of promise. The call came at 2:17 a.m. Nathan woke to the sound of Ava's voice, strained, breathless. "It's time." He was out of bed and dressed in seconds. She stood at her door, one hand gripping the frame, the other on her stomach. "Contractions started 20 minutes ago," she said through gritted teeth. "They're getting closer." He grabbed the hospital bag, keys, and helped her to the car. Traffic was mercifully light. Nathan drove with both hands on the wheel and his foot hovering near the brake. Ava breathed through each wave of pain, her voice clipped and tense. "Try not to hit every pothole in Los Angeles." I'm trying, he said, half laughing, half terrified. Do you want music? God, no, he nodded. Right, no music. They reached the hospital in record time. Nurses whisked her into triage, and within the hour she was admitted. Nathan sat beside her bed, watching as monitors beeped and IV lines snaked down her arm. I'm scared, she whispered, eyes wet with pain and adrenaline. He took her hand. I'm here. She squeezed his fingers hard. Don't leave. I won't. The labor stretched into hours. The sun rose, painting the room in pink and gold light. Ava dozed between contractions, her face slick with sweat. Nathan stayed awake the whole time. He didn't check his phone. Didn't take any calls. The world outside the hospital no longer existed. Only her, only the child. Sometime around noon, the nurse announced it was time to push. A rush of panic surged through him, but he stayed where she needed him, at her side. You've got this, he said. You're the strongest person I know. She grimaced. Don't you dare say that motivational crap right now. He laughed. So did the nurse. And then her screams tore the room open. Time froze. And after one final, primal cry, a baby's wail, sharp, new, perfect, Nathan felt his knees go weak. A nurse placed a wriggling, crying, squirming baby girl on Ava's chest. Ava looked down, tears streaming. Nathan looked at both of them, his whole world breathing and alive. Hi, he whispered. Hi, little one. She had Ava's eyes, his chin, a swirl of dark hair. The nurses cleaned her, wrapped her, and placed her in Nathan's arms. He stared at her for what felt like forever. You okay? Ava asked, her voice weak but amused. She's perfect, he said. They sat like that for a while, 3 people in a bubble of silence broken only by the soft coos of a newborn. Have you thought of a name? She asked. Nathan nodded. Have one. She raised an eyebrow. Yeah? He looked down at the child in his arms. Hope. Ava blinked. Hope? Because that's what she is. After everything, she's our second chance. Ava smiled, more tears sliding down her cheeks. I love it. He looked at her and saw something he hadn't seen in a long time. Peace. Not the absence of pain, but something deeper. Something earned. Thank you, he whispered. For what? For trusting me with her. With you. With another chance. Ava reached for his hand. Let's not waste it. 2 weeks later, the world had moved on to another scandal. The tabloids found a new target. Nexus appointed a new CEO. Nathan's name slowly faded from the business pages. And he was fine with it. He woke each morning to the sound of Hope's cries. He learned how to warm bottles, change diapers, and bounce her just right. He burned toast. He did midnight store runs for baby wipes. He was happy. Ava watched him with cautious wonder. He never flinched, never ran, never asked for praise. One afternoon, she came into the living room holding an envelope. What's this? He asked. A job offer, she said. From who? She smiled. That local tech incubator. You remember the portfolio site I built for the bakery? Yeah, they loved it. They offered me a part-time contract to design UX for 2 of their startups. Nathan stood. Ava, that's... Don't say congratulations yet. I want to say yes, but I'll need help. You have it. She looked at him. You'd watch her during meetings while I work? With pleasure, he said. She took a deep breath. Then I'm saying yes. The nursery was small, painted a soft shade of sage green. Ava's paintings lined the walls, bright, bold strokes of color. A small bookshelf held baby books and hand-me-downs. A worn but comfortable rocking chair sat in the corner. Nathan sat there now, Hope asleep against his chest, her tiny breaths warming his shirt. Ava watched from the doorway. You're good at this, she said softly. I've had a good teacher. She walked in, sat beside him on the rug. I was so sure you'd disappear again. I almost did, he admitted. But the second I saw you at that wedding... He trailed off. She leaned against his leg. I never thought we'd get here. He looked down at her. Do you think maybe we try again? Not as a perfect couple, but as people who want the same future? Ava didn't answer right away. She reached up, touched his hand. Let's raise her first. Let's start with that. He smiled. That's more than enough. Ava opened the small gallery space on a quiet Thursday night. Her exhibit, Second Chances, featured 8 new pieces. Bright, emotional, raw, Hope, now toddling, clutched Nathan's hand as they entered. Ava saw them and smiled. Nathan bent to pick up their daughter. Ready to see Mommy's show? Hope clapped. A reporter approached. Mr. Cole, any thoughts on the future of tech? Nathan kissed his daughter's cheek. I've already built my future, he said. They walked away, father, mother, child, through a gallery of colors born from healing, and for the first time the past didn't follow them. It lit the path forward. 6 months later, life looked nothing like it once had. The apartment had changed, messier, livelier, full of tiny socks, plastic toys, and the constant sound of Hope's giggling babbles. Ava's design career had blossomed. After the incubator contract, she landed a steady stream of freelance clients who appreciated her eye for detail and clean, emotional layouts. She even began mentoring young female designers through a nonprofit she co-founded. Nathan, for his part, had learned how to build things that weren't measured in IPOs or app downloads. He was up early every morning with Hope. He brewed the worst coffee known to man, sang lullabies horribly off-key, and still forgot to warm bottles correctly. But he was there every single day. He'd invested his remaining funds into a small but meaningful venture, an arts and technology foundation focused on helping underserved single mothers gain career access through design, coding, and digital media. It wasn't glamorous, but it mattered. He called it the Hope Initiative, and it felt more real than anything he'd ever created. One Thursday morning, as Ava was preparing for a virtual client pitch and Hope was chewing on a book about farm animals, there was a knock at the door. Nathan answered it and froze. On the other side stood George Harper, his former lead investor and a man who once threatened to dismantle his entire empire when the Ava story broke. Nathan, George said, removing his sunglasses. You've been hiding. Nathan raised an eyebrow. Not hiding. Just busy with things that matter. George smiled awkwardly. May I come in? Nathan hesitated, then stepped aside. Hope squealed from the floor. George's eyes flicked to her and softened. She's beautiful, he said. She is... George looked around the apartment. Never thought I'd find you here, dressed like a dad from a cereal commercial. I gave the board my suits, Nathan said. Didn't need them anymore. George cleared his throat. Look, the company, it's flailing. I'm aware, Nathan said evenly. You built the heart of it, George admitted. The innovation, the leadership, it hasn't recovered since you left. They need you back, Nathan scoffed. You kicked me out because I wanted to be a father. And I was wrong, George said, surprising him. We all were. Silence. We'll rebrand, clean slate, give you full control again. Terms you set. Just come back. Nathan looked at Ava, who had just walked in, her eyes immediately narrowing at the sight of George. I'm not the man you fired, Nathan said. I'm not building things to impress people anymore. I'm building them to mean something. George nodded, clearly struggling. So, you're saying no? I'm saying I'll think about it, Nathan said. Because maybe, just maybe, he didn't have to choose between the past and the future anymore. Later that night, Ava sat on the balcony with a blanket wrapped around her shoulders, a cup of mint tea in hand. Nathan joined her quietly. I heard the conversation, she said. I figured, you going back? I don't know, he admitted. For the first time, I'm not chasing anything. It's peaceful. Ava looked up at the stars. You know what's crazy? What? You never once tried to buy me back. Nathan laughed. That bad, huh? No, she said softly. That good. You didn't throw money at me. You showed up, over and over. Even when I didn't trust you. He looked at her. Do you trust me now? She didn't answer right away. Instead, she said, Hope took her first steps today. You were at the store, remember? He blinked. What? She stood, wobbled a little, and then moved toward the couch. I didn't record it. I didn't call you in. I just watched. Why didn't you tell me earlier? Because I wanted you to know this. You didn't miss it. That moment was for her, for me, and the next one. You'll be there for that. He smiled. Thank you. She sipped her tea, then said, and for what it's worth, I think I trust you more every day. It was raining the night they kissed again for the first time. They had just returned from a parent-teacher info session at the Community Learning Center. Hope was asleep in the car seat, and Ava was fiddling with her keys at the door. Nathan stood close behind her, umbrella in hand, rain dripping from the edges. You're soaked, he said. So are you, she replied. She turned, and something changed. The space between them stilled. Their breaths matched. Her eyes flicked to his mouth. Then, without thinking, without planning, he kissed her. Soft, sure, familiar. She didn't pull away. And when they broke apart, Ava said, Took you long enough. Their second home was a modest bungalow just outside Los Feliz, a porch swing, a lemon tree in the yard, a dog named Rocket that Hope adored and Nathan pretended not to. They weren't married, not yet, but they were together in every sense of the word. Hope turned one that spring. Ava painted a giant mural in the backyard, a field of wildflowers with a tiny girl in the center, arms outstretched toward the sun. They threw a party. Balloons, cake, plastic chairs. No paparazzi, just love. At the end of the day, as the guests trickled away, Nathan held Hope in one arm and watched Ava laugh with her mother near the lemonade table. He had never felt richer. One night, Nathan sat at his desk in their tiny converted garage office. He opened a new document. The CEO's secret, he typed at the top. Then, how I lost everything that didn't matter and gained everything that did. He smiled and kept writing. Ava poked her head in. You're writing again? He nodded. About you, her, us. She stepped inside, kissed his cheek. Good. You've got a story worth telling now. He reached for her hand and pressed it to his heart. I've got everything now.